Hello, my name is Joshua Gonzalez. I am here joined today by my friend Matthew Lambert. I'm joined here by my friend Gerardo Garcia. Oh, hi Matthew. I'm sorry, I didn't even get to say hi.
Hello.
Hey. And we're interviewing today for Sociology 408 Death and Dying, our critical response exercise number three, which is primarily talking about the logistics of, uh, you know, funeral arrangements or different depositions like that. Okay, so this is the first section. It's basically concerning your physical remains. So there are a bunch of different. It's called disposition. Different methods that we've discussed in class. We have maybe some more American traditional ones, like uh, funeral plots and things like that. But there are a ton of different ones. So that's traditional burial. You also have natural slash green burial. So basically, you turn into compost. All
Right.
right. So one that I find really interesting, uh, science donation for scientific research. So like you can, that kind of covers like a few different ones. You can do donation for like organ harvesting, right? Or for like more traditional, like scientific research and stuff. Or I don't know if you've ever heard about them, but body farms, right?
Body.
They clear out like a wooded area or what have you, and they leave bodies in the area to study the effects of decomposition. Cremation, that's really a lot on the rise in America. Alkaline hydrolysis, so basically you get turned into water. You get turned into
Okay.
nutrient-rich water and you get sprayed on plants. Uh, have you ever given any thought to these kind of like proceedings or anything?
Um, yes, every now and again I do have the thought. It does get brought up every now and again in conversations.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not gonna say I think about it all the time, but yeah,
Yeah.
here and there every now and again.
Hmm. There are some folks in class who say that, yeah, they do think about it pretty frequently. Um,
I feel like I tend to truly teeter-totter between the two choices. I
uh-huh.
feel, like I said, I have given it some thought. It has been brought up a couple of times, but the majority of the time I go, oh, well, sometimes I want to be cremated, leave let my, caretakers or whomever I was close with at the time of my death to just spread my ashes or maybe perhaps even keep them if they wish. Um, or perhaps, if I get a plot of land, perhaps be buried in the far corner of the plot of land.
Yeah.
Um, at the moment, I feel like I'd rather be buried, you
Hmm.
know, wherever over cremation. But like I said, I tend to teeter totter um, because the thought of being, spread or kept by family, if that's what they choose,
Hmm.
um, I would completely understand that.
Sure.
But probably like you mentioned before, previously about the American traditional,
Hmm.
just uh, just a burial plot thing going out like that.
Yeah.
I think that would be the way that I would go for.
Yeah. Is there anything that kind of pushes you towards that kind of that idea? Is it just like something that, is ingrained? Maybe it's like, this is just what I want, I guess.
It's kind of like what I would, just what I would want in general, and plus with, you know, my past generations and how those funerals have went and how they've went with, with things like that. I just feel like it's just, in a way, a rite of passage, if you will.
Yeah.
But maybe my mother would like to, you know, bury me over in Mexico because my mother does plan to be buried in Mexico. That's already something she's decided
Hmm.
that wants to happen with her. She has a plot of land out there that she wants to be buried in.
Hmm.
Um, and she has expressed in the past where she would also love to have her children buried next to her. So I feel like I also got to consider financial,
Yeah.
you know, situations.
Hmm.
Coffins can be very
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah.
um,
Right.
right.
We've been talking about it a lot in class, not to sway you one way or the other, but sometimes
Hmm.
funerals can be like incredibly expensive.
Right.
Um,
I mean, I guess it truly does depend. I feel like I would leave that decision um, to whomever,
mhm.
is currently, you know, I
Survives
guess,
you, I guess.
yeah,
That's what
yeah,
the yeah, no, lots of people feel the same way. Is that like the body sometimes can be like a physical closure thing,
yes,
or it
yes,
can be like important for like a certain certain approach to be taken, like cremation or burial or what have you, for those people that are still like surviving you. So yeah, I think a lot of people feel a similar way. Is that it really depends on what the people you leave behind want. That kind of determines it.
For me, I'm gonna go ahead later on in life and go ahead and, pay for my plot. Um, Try to put money aside for funeral costs and things like that, even though it can be a little bit costly. I
Mhm.
wouldn't want my family to come back and have to, number one, have a burden of my death, and then also have a burden of paying X amount of money to, send me off the right way,
Right.
if that's a way to put it.
Of, right? We can get on to our second question, which is kind of about remembrance, really. What kind of funeral or memorial service, if any, would you want? Um, how you want that experience to feel for them, how um, you want them to kind of remember the moment, and an extension maybe remember you.
I don't know. I feel like maybe something
Mhm.
really small, if there is something that I would like where it's really close friends, family, um, and maybe like a couple people stand up and talk about their experiences.
Hmm.
Um, but again, I feel like surely an ofrenda with my picture on it,
Hmm.
that would be my
Yeah.
my way.
And I feel like everybody wants to go out, you know, with, I'm not gonna say a bang, but they want to go out, being remembered as the person that they were. For me, it would more so be, um, like I had stated before, and like how you put it, I want it to be more of a generational thing. The tone of a funeral could be, things like that. I feel like it could go one way or another, but I definitely want it to. I want it to bring closure, and I also want it to be positive.